Testing. Testing. Hello, everybody. Guys, it's Thursday, June 30th, 2022 AD. I was just talking this whole time with a black screen, and I don't think any of it went out. Testing. There we go. What a mess. It's okay. Hake must be still sick. I am a little congested. I'm not sick. Still a little congested. You can kind of hear it. Guys, it's 9:03 a.m. Man, 2 minutes worth of just speaking into the darkness. 9:03 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time, Thursday, June 30th, 2022 AD. I'm going to talk about the China virus hype, maybe a little bit. The phony January 6th propaganda shenanigans. Roe v. Wade did indeed make people worse. It's ridiculous. Shout out to John R. Lott Jr. Unsolved black-on-black crime is increasing, but what do they care about? Emmett Till. They don't care about Emmett Till. They just care about hating white people. And all that and your calls. But anyway, guys, man, that's a shame. Let's get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how are you guys doing? I am fine. Did you know that I completely forgot, those of you who gave super chats yesterday, to read the whole rest of your super chats? What a mess. Ooh, man, that's brutal. I will be reading those, guys. Make it up to you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? But let me get right to a caller. It says Vinny, but I have a feeling that it's actually Denny in Bulgaria. Let me confirm the spelling of your name. Is it Denny in Bulgaria? Are you on the line?
Hello, Mr. Hake. It's Denny from Bulgaria. Yes.
Denny, how do you spell your name the way that you're saying it?
You can spell it as Denny.
Okay, sounds good, man. Just confirming.
Right on.
Just confirming. I know that.
Indeed,
anyway,
sir.
I appreciate you anglicizing your name so we can pronounce it too. By the way. Anyway.
I know it's not the real name, but the real name always gets butchered, so
Right.
I decided to simplify it.
Well, I appreciate it. If you want, you can share your first name, but you totally don't have to. Just for our.
Maybe another time. So.
Sounds good.
Mr. Hake, first of all, I'm glad that you're feeling better. I watched your show yesterday. It was a remarkable episode.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, I am feeling better.
Glad to hear. I was calling because you had a segment about a 100-and-something-year-old German who was prosecuted and is facing 5 years in jail.
Yeah.
And Mr. Hake, I'm calling with troublesome news. This is exactly what the communists did when they took over. They took over. They destroyed the elite. They killed basically everybody who is able to read and write, so that only the stupid people can be run around. And later on, when they were facing riots, they started making up. I don't think the story is made up, of course, but the communists started making up stories that this person was a Nazi from the World War. He was hiding, and they were smart enough to catch him,
Wow.
and they're sending him to jail. And people actually bought that because they were pretty simple.
Yeah.
And Mr. Hake, this is we're entering very dangerous times because imagine. I just really don't understand how will I be if I was a German man and I'm having my problems, which are day-to-day problems, bills and stuff like that. How is that going to make my life better? And if I ask my politician, how is he going to make my life better? And he will tell me I will send a 100-year-old man in jail.
Yeah.
This is so ridiculous. It's there are ridiculous things that are actually funny.
Right.
When something is so stupid, it's funny. This is not one of them, and it's troublesome.
I really agree.
Watched.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. I watched. I don't remember. It was either you or Mr. Peterson when you talked about this alleged thing where your former president grabbed the neck of the driver of the limousine.
Right.
This is stupid enough to be funny.
Right.
Because a limousine is about 6 meters long, and everybody who actually believed that a 70-year-old, your former president was in great shape, but everyone who believed that a 70-something-year-old man can go 6 meters full of Secret Service and grab the driver by the neck is crazy. If that was Donald Trump, he would have been Superman.
Yeah.
Because it's impossible. The president and the prime minister does not sit next to a driver. He sits at the back of the limousine.
Yep.
So he can be protected. This is how it's a NATO standard. Every prime minister, and in your case, president, is basically like that. And this was so stupid. I almost fell off my chair when I heard that.
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, Mr. Hake, those are indeed troublesome news, because if they start doing this now, it's very interesting to see how history repeats itself, because once those elites take power, their first target always, that happens in Europe, in China, in South America, Africa, everywhere. When the elite takes power, their first target is their agents, their activists. That's the first people that they want to get rid of, because they know that those people are expecting rewards.
Yeah.
But they're not giving rewards. They don't want to give rewards. They want power, and they don't want to share it. So this is dangerous.
It really is.
Actually, it was so absurd. Not that I don't believe you, of course, but I really had to check this for myself. I found additional information. This is so absurd that we're living in a very interesting time. And
you're talking about you had to check the information on the 101-year-old Nazi guard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because I have dear friends in Berlin, and you're well informed about the place you're living in, because you're there, right?
Yeah.
So I contacted my friends over there. It's a gruesome story, but it's really something we should observe, and I would really want to thank you for your work, for everything you're doing, for the remarkable results that you have.
Right.
And I really wish you all the best, Mr. Hake, a lot of health, and God be with you, sir.
Well, thank you, Denny. I appreciate it. And I totally agree with you that this is ridiculous, and it's not funny. It's evil. And it's doing no good. It reminds me this attack on this 101-year-old supposed Nazi guard who 80 years ago or something allegedly aided and abetted in murder of 3,000 people, right? Supposedly.
And if you really think about it, if he was, and he was a guard at the facility, he didn't give the order or anything, because back then he was 20-year-old,
right? Well,
young man.
Yeah, 20. He would have been 20, 21 years old. Exactly.
Yes. So what do you think will happen if, well, of course, God forbid, if you're in his position? It's not like he gave the orders for this to be done. He was a soldier, I assume. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been a guard at a military facility. Right. He was a soldier, a young soldier, 20-year-old, 21-year-old soldier. He had to follow orders. In the army, you either follow orders or you, you all know the alternative. Yeah. And how much do you think he knew? And I'm sorry? And how much do you think he knew about what was going on? I think he knew enough. I mean, people talk. So I think he was aware of it, but I don't think I'm pretty sure he couldn't do anything about it, whether he liked it or not. Right. Nobody asked him. Yep. So even if he knew, if he did something else, he wouldn't have been on trial today, because he'd be dead. Yeah. You know, this reminds me of the blacks going after the woman whom
who allegedly accused Emmett Till of grabbing her and saying vulgar statements about her, about having sex with white women.
It's a similar case. I watched Mr. Peterson's show today, so I am a little bit, I think, aware of the situation.
Yep.
Similar case, and again, if you want to have a brighter future, make sure you're a better man or a better woman. Don't focus on things that happened half a century ago or a century ago.
Right.
Because it's simply ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. This is why I gave you the example with your former president, because that statement was stupid enough to be funny.
Right.
But what's going on right now is simply stupid and evil at the same time, which is a dangerous combination.
It really is. I appreciate it, Denny. It's great to hear from you, man.
Glad to see you again. All went well, Mr. Hake. God be with you. All the best and kind regards to your colleagues.
Thank you. Take care.
Goodbye, sir.
All right.
Likewise.
Bye. Denny in Bulgaria. That's some clarity. Bless you. Or I don't know if that was a cough. That's probably a cough, not a sneeze. It also, this smear that I talked about yesterday and that Denny in Bulgaria just talked about with the kangaroo. It's my opinion that it's a kangaroo court throwing this 101-year-old, old, skinny, frail, decrepit old man in jail from 80 years ago. Who knows what he actually did? They used his name. They lifted his name off of like Soviet records. It reminds me, this kangaroo court mess, this endless persecution of the quote-unquote bad guys, the whites, the white supremacists, so-called white supremacists, reminds me of what they're doing to the January 6th people. Because they hate Trump and his supporters who just love the country. That's their only crime. Loving the country, telling the truth, fighting for what's right. And some of them may have gotten a little out of hand, a little ill-advised during the January 6th mess. They might have gotten caught in a trap, a honey pot, if you will. But Denny in Bulgaria mentioned the ridiculous statement by this woman, this nutty woman, Cassidy Hutchinson. I have some photographs of her, some little headlines from this January 6th mess. And fears of getting charged with every crime imaginable, key figures were seeking pardons. Top takeaways from the surprise hearing. This was a woman whom they featured, this Cassidy Hutchinson woman, who was a White House aide to Mark Meadows. Why, oh, why are you hiring females? Mark Meadows and Donald Trump. I mean, I know Trump does because he's one to cherish women and kiss up to them and lift them up and give them opportunities. And it just comes back and bites him because these ladies, and I use the term ladies loosely, are not loyal. Very disloyal ladies. Is this woman even a Christian? Cassidy Hutchinson? She's certainly not acting very Christian whatsoever. What happened in the Beast? Our greatest president, Donald J. Trump, lunged for the steering wheel of the White House limo, as Denny in Bulgaria mentioned, right? On January 6th, demanding to be taken to the Capitol, former aide Cassidy Hutchinson testifies. Is that a Christian? Look at that face. Is that a Christian face? They're not there to hurt me. Our greatest president, Donald J. Trump, was told protesters had weapons ahead of the January 6th mostly peaceful Capitol protest. And that gay guy called into my show saying, oh, that woman, she told the truth. But Trump insisted his supporters gain access to the rally. Yeah, right. Like he would want armed Trump supporters. And he well knows that friends can become fiends, that supporters can turn on a person. He well knows this. Just because he's loyal to the people doesn't mean the people are loyal to him, right? Very many disloyal people have exposed themselves. But this Cassidy Hutchinson, ex-White House aide, brave female testimony. Cassidy Hutchinson was sworn in. Did she swear on a Bible? At a hearing of the House Unselect Committee falsely propagandizing the January 6th mostly peaceful Capitol protest as anything other than patriotic and a little out of hand, I guess. A little, maybe. The photographs, oh my gosh, they're looking at her like she's this queen. Bette Midler, isn't she a female musician, like a country music singer lady? And I use the term lady a little bit loosely. And she shares a photograph of the New York Slimes all the way across the top headline. I think that's supposed to be reserved for rare cases. Enraged Trump encouraged violence and sought to join the mob, aide testifies. So in your face, people who think that Trump didn't want to help join you guys, he did. But I doubt that he grabbed the wheel. But if he did, even better. I'm the bleeping president. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here. Let the people in. Vivid testimony could undercut a possible free speech defense. Increasingly unhinged as power slipped away. That's what are they describing themselves or are they describing the president? And phony Liz Cheney says she has total confidence in this lady who's saying ridiculous things. Give me a break. Liz Cheney has to pretend to believe it. Because otherwise they did this whole emergency, unannounced testimony for nothing. At least she's mildly attractive, right? This Cassidy Hutchinson woman right now. For now. Pretty on the outside, mildly. Mildly. Ugly on the inside. I'm not a fan of these blazer things on these ladies. Pretending that they are all business-like. Not a fan. You look dumb. Sorry, kids. Oh, man. What a mess. Let me play this clip 13. Here's a sensible man. Just to briefly talk about this. This guy was found dead. And I don't know what's going on. I'm not one to speculate, but I should report it. He was found dead June 27th. Marjorie Greene. You know the Queen, Marjorie Greene? Georgia congressman, female congressman. I'm not a fan of the female congressman, but I do appreciate her for standing up for the January 6th protesters and being a decent woman overall, you know, as much as she can. She says Michael Stenger, Senate Sergeant at Arms, who was the Senate Sergeant at Arms on January 6th. He was found dead on June 27th. That's 3 days ago. James finally made a mildly attractive, accurate statement. Usually I say it, and it's completely inaccurate. Here's clip 13. I do have it there, right? Here it is. Here's this man who seems to be talking sensibly about what should have been and how people should view the January 6th security failure, which Trump wanted more security. He had suggested more security. Somehow that didn't happen. Here it is. I prefer.
There is an opportunity to learn lessons from the events of January 6th. Investigation should be considered as to the funding and travel and what appears to be professional agitators. First Amendment rights should always be considered in conjunction with these investigations. Law enforcement coordination in the National Capital Region should be reviewed to determine what can be done in a more efficient and productive manner. Intelligence collection and dissemination, training, and concepts on the use of force must be consistent. This integration should be accomplished without regard to self-interest and cost. In conclusion, whenever you prepare for a major event, must always consider the possibility of some level of civil disobedience at these demonstrations and plan accordingly. Events of January 6th went beyond disobedience. This was a violent, coordinated attack where the loss of life could have been much worse. This concludes my prepared remarks.
Good for you, man. I don't know if you were able to pick out what he was saying. Is he eating the mic? I know it's a little muffled. I did not like that part of it. But he was talking sense, common sense. Do you want to play it again? Should we play it again? Listen closely. Let me play it one more time, guys, because he said some stuff that was sensible. And he's dead now. He's 71 years old. Oh, Zoom background denoiser makes people's voices sound bad, says Nick. Yeah, it's just a muffled guy. And the failing New York Slimes calls him the ousted Sergeant at Arms. He was the chief law enforcement officer of the Senate, did not seek the National Guard's help in advance of the January 6th insurrection. Was not an insurrection. That's fake news. You're very failing. The failing New York Slimes stinks. Richard Sandemeyer. Michael Stenger resigned as the Senate Sergeant at Arms, but he was ousted, is the headline. So resigned under pressure. Resigned after the January 6th storming of the Capitol. Exposed a lack of security planning. His family announced his death but did not give a cause or say where he died. This was reported June 29th, yesterday, by the failing New York Slimes. Resigned under pressure from Mitch McConnell, the rhino backstabber who hates America. Mitch McConnell hated Trump the whole time. Did have to work with him. You know, he knew how to work with him. He knew how to finagle things, but he is a sleazy person not with America's best interests at heart. Chuck Schumer, who was the incoming majority leader, House Senate majority leader, had vowed to fire Mr. Stenger, excuse me, if he was still in office January 20th. He was the Senate's chief law enforcement officer, involved in enforcing its rules and coordinating official events and visits. The imaginary insurrection presented him with an unprecedented challenge. Was found at the center of a breakdown in command. Do you guys want to hear? Let's hear it one more time. And I'm going to try to listen closely and try to translate for you guys. Okay? Here it is.
There is an opportunity to learn lessons from the events of January 6th. Investigation should be considered as to the funding and traveling what appears to be professional agitators.
Ooh.
First Amendment rights should always be considered in conjunction with these investigations. Law enforcement coordination in the National Capital Region should be reviewed to determine what can be done in a more efficient and productive manner. Intelligence collection and dissemination, training, and concepts on the use of force must be consistent. This integration should be accomplished without regard to self-interest and cost. In conclusion, whenever you prepare for a major event, must always consider the possibility of some level of civil disobedience at these demonstrations and plan accordingly. Events of January 6th went beyond disobedience. This was a violent, coordinated attack where the loss of life could have been much worse. This concludes my prepared remarks.
Okay, so this guy said we should always plan for civil disobedience, but it was beyond civil disobedience. It was a wild, coordinated attack. He mentioned, did you hear him mention professional agitators? Ooh, turn on the AC. A lot of hot air coming out here. Professional agitators, he mentioned. Huh, interesting. Very interesting. Said the use of force should be consistent. Isn't that interesting? Remember that guy? The Mike Bird guy who shot Ashley Babbitt? Was that a consistent use of force? Consistent with the standards? I don't know. Anyway, that's that for that. but he was found dead. Don't know. He's on the old side. A little bit on the, perhaps, overweight side, but I don't know. Ragnar0321 speculates he died of whistleblower syndrome. Yeah, he seemed to be the scapegoat. Don't know what kind of man he was. All right, don't know. But he seemed to be the scapegoat. Among many scapegoats, they're going after the Trump and anybody who's decent badly. Let me read some super chats, guys. There were a lot of super chats that I did not get to yesterday. So over there on streamlabs.com/the Hake report. Oh yeah, over there also on Odyssey. Let's get to the first one. Brandon M. gave one on Odyssey, odysee.com/@ the Hake report /live. The one black in Maine got offended. He wanted watermelon included. And this is referring to the Juneteenth. It's whatever. Enjoy, we're closed. Enjoy your collard greens and fried chicken. And the one black in Maine, because that town in Maine that I covered yesterday is not a very black town. In fact, it's not black at all. I don't think. But there may have been one black guy in Maine, and he was offended. He wanted them to mention watermelon, too. Rather than just fried chicken and collard greens. Yeah, Juneteenth, it's whatever. It's evil. I told you about that. It's ridiculous. That small business that got the clampdown by commie capitalist huge corporations that kiss up to blacks. Kiss up to angry blacks. So dumb. So wrong. So evil. I'm shaking my head. Thank you, Brandon M. I apologize for missing that yesterday, man. Pardon me. Nugget Man says, happy birthday, Hake. Shout out to the YouTube crew. I appreciate that. Nugget Man. Lord Bibby42 gave a super chat and said, Sugar Ray is awesome. Chat can eat it, man. Thank you. Ding, 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 ding. Someday. He used to sing harder music. Well, scream? I don't know. I called it metal, and people jumped down my throat. That's not metal, Hake. And I know that, but I don't know. If you listen to it, it was harder. I'm not saying I liked it or anything. Not saying it was good metal. And it may not even have been metal, but whatever. Lord Bibby42 with another super chat. Billie Joe Armstrong and Ellen Page. Did you know that Billie Joe Armstrong, Billie, did you know? It's the female version. And Ellen Page are the same person, Hake. Changed my mind. Let me drink a little water. Oops. I should have muted the rest of that. I can't change your mind if you think Billie Joe Armstrong, the Green Day guy who said, F America, I'm effing quitting this country. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Pop punk singer, 50 years old. And Ellen Page, who calls herself Elliot now. And I respect her too much to call her a male or to call her Elliot. As a human being, I respect her too much. She did a good job in Inception, right? No? Okay, that movie. Thank you, Lord Bibby42. Dawn, over there on streamlabs.com/the Hake Report, is citing a Bible verse to justify his gossip and slander, which it doesn't apply. But thank you, Dawn, for the support. Excuse me. I appreciate it, man. Not that you did that to support, but you did it to be a snake. Danimal, over there on streamlabs.com/the Hake Report, says he's back and he's on fire. Indeed. Thank you, Danimal. Appreciate that, man. Jib Jab with the super chat says, hope all is well with ya. Indeed. All is well. Except I have a tickle in my throat. I don't know. I feel like coughing or drinking more water. But that's all right. I'm tough. Okay. Let me get to Art in Ohio before I move on to more of these stories. I have a lot that I want to get to. This Roe v. Wade really making people worse. And some China virus hype correction to give to you guys. But Art in Ohio is on the line. Art, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing fine. Thank you, man.
Man, I just had to strike up a Newport 100.
What? A Newport 100?
Newport 100. A Newport 100.
Is that nice? A Newport 100. Oh, get them before they're banned.
100.
Are they going to be banned? Is that the cigarettes that are menthols that blacks like?
To this day, it's the cigarettes that the blacks like.
To this day.
I respect it. Moderation in everything. But yes, right on.
Who was that on the switchboard back there that just hit the to this day?
Nicolas is on the board. And
DJ Nicholas.
very nice. Nick,
Yeah.
do you know how to put yourself on the screen and a mic?
Yo.
What's up, Nick?
What is up, y'all?
Host of Nick's Stream, by the way.
This is true.
Nikki, baby.
What's up, Art?
What's up with you? Man, all right, let's get down to business. All right.
Okay.
Lord Bibby in the chat. Is everything clear in the chat room, Lord Bibby? Lord Graham? Already. So, yeah, man, the Supreme Court, man, see, unlike the left and the liberals, see, we not gonna go down there and protest the Supreme Court, no. You know, they made a good decision with the overturning of the Roe Wade and the Second Amendment rights, but on the right, it's being conservative and God-fearing. That we just gonna chill and let the Supreme Court smell their own poop. You see what I'm saying? We ain't happy with this decision or whatnot. We want them to stay on their land. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
legal and illegal.
Where they let the illegals come in here and stay here without being detained. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you. We're not there to like dox the Supreme Court justices and threaten them or anything like that, because that's not the way. I don't think. No, it's not the way.
No, it ain't.
Yeah.
Nah, but check this out. They gonna see. Just like I said, I ain't gonna say nothing about it. I'm just gonna say that they will see after a while how everything is setting up or whatnot, with the food, the weakening of our the military, the softening of the government, the weak black and white families over here, and the food shortage and the hiking of this gas, that you letting a lot of these people come over here and you not monitoring your back and front yard. You not monitoring your castle and your kingdom. You know,
Yeah.
If you don't learn from the past, you are bound to repeat the mistake. And America's not learning from Rome, and the Supreme Court obviously ain't getting the right news, or watching news, or whether the news is being suppressed from them because they must not be seeing what we seeing. But it ain't you putting Americans in a bad situation where all this stuff, everything in the world is unstable. You just dropping all this on American citizens or whatnot. You know what I mean? And you putting us in danger, and you putting your Supreme Court the judges, you putting your own self in danger at the same time by doing what y'all doing. We all know that the 13th and the 14th Amendment wasn't written for no legals and illegals. That was only made for Negro slaves or whatnot.
Right.
You have to get your stuff passed into Congress just like the Negroes did or whatnot. So you have no ties to this land. That's the first thing. The second thing is you pander to the news, and the news is pandering, putting all this stuff, making Americans, white and blacks, feel bad to where they're thinking that this is cool that they're coming over here. Not all of them, not all Americans, because you got some that's like me, and it's not. And you pulling on people's heartstrings, and you turning around, pull on their heartstrings, and then putting them in danger. And they just gonna have to. The Supreme Court just gonna have to figure this out, but it ain't right, and it's not right, and you can't use the Negroes as a stepping stool to try to get and let everybody into America.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
They don't care about. They don't care about blacks.
No, they don't. And if anybody with any type of brain would knew anything, they would already understand that if any Negro that's agreeing and thinking that it's cool that immigrants or legal or illegal, it's cool for a whole bunch of them to be coming over here, they're wrongly mistaken. It's a part of the reason why a lot of the inflation's going up, crime, and also it's like, why are you worried about other people when I want you to worry about the Negroes? I want to get the Negroes together first. Let us get ourselves together first, and then let's worry about other people. Clean up your house first, then worry about cleaning up somebody else's house. And the Supreme Court judges, they don't understand that, and the American people just don't understand, and they just going to have to see.
Yeah. You know, you brought up Rome. I learned from one of my old former friends that the Romans lost track of what it meant to be Roman. And so it is with America.
What to be Roman.
And now Americans don't know what it means to be American. You have whole illegal alien radical homosexual activists who say, oh, they start up these organizations called Define American. It's illegal from the Philippines. Jose something. Define American. Just a trick question to try to stump you and get the bleeding heart, female-minded liberal males and females to let all these people stay here who don't belong here. It's so wrong. It's a sick world.
And you know, I'm not coming down. I'm just being upfront and honest, and I'm God fearing. Like, I can be your friend from across the street. I don't need you. I mean, I can love you from across the street. You don't have to come stay in my house for me to love you.
Yep. Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Trump is not for. Trump wants those countries to fix themselves, and so do the rest of us. Stay there so you can fix your own self. But no, we keep on bailing them out. It's like abortion. I'm going to talk about how abortion enabled all kinds of evil and destruction of the family because it gave people a way out of their responsibility.
You said they weigh out their responsibility?
Yeah, it gave them a way out of being responsible. Same thing with letting the people come here and stay here. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you know, people they don't have the same morals and the structure that America.
Right.
So they bring in their different flags and stuff, and quick to tell you Puerto Rico or
I know, very disloyal.
And it's like, well, hold up, if it's all like that, go back to Venezuela. How are you over here in my back and front yard with your flag?
Yeah.
And I gotta assimilate to you. You came to my home, and I gotta assimilate. I gotta basically learn how.
I said, I know, you're right. They're acting like we need to cater to them. They need to assimilate to us. But no, you have these phony politicians speaking Spanish and kissing up, and it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing,
and
really.
you lowering America's standards. America's supposed to be top dogs, man.
Yeah.
You lowering us down to where we are basically a third world country. We basically little dogs now.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get off. I'm going to say this last thing, and I'm going to get off here because I've been on here. I want to let you keep listening to the show and let other people get a chance to talk.
All right.
Also, with the 50 people that died in the back of that tractor trailer, all that, like, y'all are condoning this stuff, man. If y'all not stopping that, like, y'all are participating in this type of stuff.
Right.
Where you have people, and just like I know, I could have ran 100 red lights, but get caught once. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's only one tractor trailer that y'all don't found. How many others are there out there that y'all have not found?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Not only that, we already seen all the travesty that went across the borders with the babies being floating in the borders, the females getting raped. These are the type of people that you are letting, and I'm not talking about Mexicans. I'm talking about everybody from around the world that's coming in through that back door.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's out of control, man.
But out of control. We ain't forgetting nothing, and we keeping tabs, and we keeping tally everything that's going on, and we still rolling with Trump.
I appreciate it, Art. It's great to hear from you, man. Take care.
Catch you later.
All right. Let me, quick little point. Big Bump says over here, I had no idea Sugar Ray was really a metal infusion styled band. Mind blown. And it was decent too. See, I told you. Sugar Ray. You guys didn't know. I got into them. Well, but I only like their pop hits. But anyway, you know, I'm a sucker for that stuff. Pop music. Do you like pop music? Anyway, let me tell you a little bit about this China virus hype. I saw this clip from B.S. Smith, Tampa Bay. Clip 14. This is a 30-second clip from Dr. Fauci about asymptomatic transmission. Just a little common sense. Sometimes he says common sense. And I don't know when he said this. I know you guys are not big fans of phony Fauci. I'm not a big fan of him. He's a big fan of Crooked Hillary. He loved it when Crooked Hillary said, "What difference at this point does it make?" He emailed her specifically and said, "Oh, you did such a good job that day." You know, when she let the Benghazi Americans die? When she was Secretary of State under Obama. And he also is a big fangirl of that lesbian woman from, lesbian woman, I guess that's redundant, from MSLSD. Ridiculous. But anyway, here's phony Fauci saying something that's kind of supposed to be common sense about asymptomatic transmission of the China virus. Asymptomatic means you're not showing symptoms. And it may be different from pre-symptomatic, because say you're not necessarily showing symptoms, you may be putting out some germs and you're not aware of it. But if you're totally asymptomatic and you never show symptoms, here's what he says about that. Clip 14, here's Fauci.
But the one thing historically people need to realize, that even if there is some asymptomatic transmission, in all the history of respiratory-borne viruses of any type, asymptomatic transmission has never been the driver of outbreaks. The driver of outbreaks is always a symptomatic person. Even if there's a rare asymptomatic person that might transmit, an epidemic is not driven by asymptomatic carriers.
Thank you. Thank you. Talking like a man. Talking with some sense. Or am I wrong? You know, we had Art in Ohio was talking about Title 42. You know, Title 42. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they're trying to get rid of it. It's also ridiculous that they needed this Title 42. It took the China virus for us to be like, oh, we don't want your illegal alien disease. And so we turned around thousands, tens of thousands, monthly. In some cases, 100,000 in certain months at the border. Thank you, Trump era, Title 42. And the liberals hate that because they want the illegals in here. They don't care about the illegal alien disease. They say, oh, that has nothing to do with public health. Okay. We're the most powerful nation in the world, and we can't handle our border crisis. I don't buy it. To paraphrase something that I heard the great Sheriff Joe Arpaio say one time. I think he said it on Fox News. Almost a decade ago, because we had the unaccompanied alien children, UACs, invading at the border, so-called children, that Obama was allowing in. It's ridiculous. Yes, we can secure the border. They just don't want to. Neither the Republicans nor the Democrats, except for Trump wanted to. And he was doing more than anybody to do it. But he was getting more pushback, more fighting, more undermining from the federal government than anybody. Obama didn't have much undermining from his government because it's a whole bunch of dumb liberals. Enemies of America running America. How did that happen? I guess when you're weak, evil rises to the top. I guess that's what happens, right? People tend to elect their worst people who are their worst. Whether they're Republicans, they elect their worst people. Whether they're Democrats, they elect their worst people. But I say keep Title 42 permanent. Make it permanent. We don't want the illegal alien disease. Art in Ohio was mentioning that the Supreme Court, I mentioned it in Hake News, struck down Trump's Remain in Mexico policy, which predates Title 42, which said the people coming from Central and South America through Mexico had to wait in Mexico. Duh! Refugees, so-called refugees, which were it's what these people are pretending that they are, pleading asylum. You're calling yourself a refugee. You're not a refugee if you're not going to the country next door. And most of these are males, right? Aren't they like working age, military age, fighting age, gang member age males? Mostly. By and large. Let's be honest, Obama is the president again, basically. Yeah, I agree, Teddy, over there on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube. As my Facebook crew here, I'm streaming on Facebook. I assume I am. A little quiet over there on the Facebook crew. But, they're pushing, speaking of, going back to the China virus thing. Excuse me, I read, I think it was last week or perhaps this week during Hake News that CNN was saying, if you get the China virus, you could get long COVID. Long COVID. And, little kids can get long COVID. And Lisa, our resident health expert over there, even though she is a lady, shout out, Luca, said, I am scared of that. I think she did use the word fear or something similar to the word fear. And so I'd rather get the shot, get a vaccine for young children. And I've heard stories of healthy young women in their 40s, fit, who get these issues, but they also got the vax. So you get the shot and the vax. I read this Alex Berenson piece that showed that in UAE, maybe United Arab Emirates or somewhere, Qatar maybe, they did a study that showed that there are issues, let's just say, there are issues that in some cases put you more at risk. I can't really get too explicit with it because I don't want to be accused of putting out false information, right? Misinformation, malinformation. But let's just say I don't know. And it's serious. A lot of you guys say, don't do it. And you may be right. Just leave it at that, right? I don't know if you're following me, what I'm saying. I'm jumping around a little bit. But I'm talking about the China virus and the vax and the scaremongering about the long COVID. And it feels like propaganda to push the vaccinate the children thing. And, these pharmaceutical companies and the government, they make a lot of money. and they stay paid anyway, and they're not held responsible. So you be responsible for you. How about that? You be responsible for your body, your temple. And there are liars on many sides, okay? Let me get to Maze. Hopefully that helps. I don't know. In Dayton, Ohio. Maze, my favorite caller. How are you doing, Maze?
Hello, James. I'm marvelous.
Nice.
I have to say this first.
Okay.
Bright Art. He's very bright.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court is not supposed to be listening to the news. The Supreme Court is supposed to be interpreting laws, not making laws and changing laws.
I know. That's why they never should have come up with Roe v. Wade.
That's why we got three branches.
I know,
You got
but
the Congress.
now you have the now you have them legislating from the bench. It's ridiculous.
That's right. So why didn't you tell Art
They
that?
should have told the government to. The law says you have to detain them, not
James,
you
why
get to
didn't you
release
tell-
them.
Why didn't you tell Art that? It had nothing to do with watching the wrong news.
I don't remember him saying.
He's like,
I don't remember him suggesting that that they're making laws. I don't remember hearing that. And I'm
Okay, you don't
I'm not
remember.
typically the kind of guy who goes, well, actually, you're the
You do-
Reddit.
you're supposed
You're
to
the
correct people
Reddit
when they're
bro.
wrong.
You're the Reddit bro.
No,
Maze.
no, you need to let the light bulb go off. He's at 15. That's how the brightness is 15.
By bright,
Some of y'all hit 100 with y'all brightness.
just for those who are not familiar, by bright, she means dumb. And Maze,
So can I get some more?
I
time?
agree he's bright. He's not dumb.
Oh, really? You do agree
Why
he's
are
bright?
you laughing?
I bet his light is at 15.
And even if
watt is-
some of us
his
are
watt is
dumb,
at 15, it's
even
almost
if some
going
of
up.
us are dumb, yet we can have brightness within because we have some common sense,
right.
which Art in Ohio has common sense. And
Okay.
he's calling back to
always
get
talking
at you,
about-
but no, I can't
you-
let him on.
But anyway, as you said, the IQ, you're not about it. The IQ, it's the brain.
I didn't bring up IQ. I'm not into IQ.
No, I'm talking about you'll get it. It's into IQ is the brain, the brightness. The bright people. Like you start at 15 and going up to 100, and their light get a little brighter.
Maze,
Well,
you
some of
don't.
them at 15.
Maze, you don't
But let me
actually.
get to the point.
You don't actually. Art, man, I know you want to respond to Maze, but I
Tell
already
him to
let
just
you
chill
on.
out and wait till tomorrow.
I'll
And he
defend
celebrate
your
white.
honor, man. Call back tomorrow.
Tell him to wait till tomorrow so he can celebrate CWP moment for y'all.
Caucasian white people.
Tell him
Caucasian
to
white
wait
people
till then.
moment.
And he
But
can
thank
give
you,
his
Art. I
opinion.
appreciate it, man. You're cool.
But and then when I hear you talk about what said about Clarence Thomas, now why was he the only person that didn't vote for that man to hide his record? 45. Why he's the only one that didn't vote to do it? And then you got mad with all the other ones
I
that
don't know.
did it. But now you're mad.
I'm not familiar with
you're mad
that
with
story.
Him again today. So you're mad with him again today because of the way they did their vote. Then you're happy because of the abortion thing. As
Right.
I say, I don't believe in abortion because I don't plan on getting one.
Nice.
And if anybody that's getting one, it's their business and it's not mine.
Well, it
But
is
when
my
comes
business.
to excuse me,
As a man
It's your
of
business.
the country, it is my business to be like, no,
well, it's like
no.
in God's law, it
Fill
says
in the
be fruitful
blank.
and multiply. And a woman has there's 3 trimesters, and in the first trimester, she has a chance. As I said, the baby is alive once it's conceived when it's due to, but she has 3 trimesters. In the first one, she can lose, and then it's nothing. And it's nothing.
Not nothing.
But nobody talks
It's still
about that.
traumatizing
No, it's
for
nothing.
them. Yeah, no, it's not
Excuse me?
nothing.
I wanted to light y'all light bulb up a little bit. Those bright people, and it used to be lit up. And it's not about just I always say hell of PWC babies. That's what it's about. It's not about
PWC?
us.
Wait, what?
'Cause if it was us out there doing
CWP?
that, you wouldn't care.
Hold on, CWP babies?
Yeah, don't just tell y'all to have them. Tell them that all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But he
he tells
says
you what
white
it's
babies.
about.
He doesn't say CWP. CWP is short
Well,
for Caucasian white people, according to me.
Those are babies. That's what he wants you to do. Is
And
have
why
the
do
babies.
you
But
say
those
that?
people-
Normally, bright means smart or
No, it
having
doesn't.
the light of God, innocent,
And that
common
you don't
sense.
have.
Why do you use bright for dumb? Because everybody
Why do I use
understands
it?
bright to be a
Because
good thing.
it's a kind of word,
Yeah, but
a
it's too
little-
kind.
it shows a-
I mean,
it shows
to
a-
me,
it shows a little
it's fine
respect
because
and
it
being-
works.
Well, you see, it shows a little respect to being dumb. When you dumb and you trying to tell somebody and explain something to somebody, and you let them sit up and talk, and you don't correct them and tell them the truth and give them the right answer and let them go on and rather. That's why I call them bright, the light bulb moment. You know, like when somebody forgets something, they having a light bulb moment, meaning that.
Okay.
Excuse me?
I didn't notice anything incorrect that Art said, so.
You corrected it yourself. About when you said, well, yes, it is.
I don't remember him saying anything. I don't remember him saying that.
The three
I
branches
didn't
of law.
hear him saying that they made up laws.
No. He didn't say they make up laws. He said that they didn't listen to the wrong stations. They're not supposed to be listening to anybody. They're not supposed to be biased.
I
They
agree.
are there to interpret.
I agree.
The laws that were made by the Congress, that's what they're there for.
I would think that Art agrees with that they're supposed to be unbiased.
If it was, what came out of his mouth made him 15 watts. So let's get back to
15 watts. Is that not very bright? Why don't you say not very bright?
The bulb is almost going out.
Why don't you say not very bright?
Why do you want to? I mean, this is my brain. I use it the way I want to, and you use it
I know, but it means the opposite of what you're trying to say. You intend to insult people, but you're complimenting them.
I'm not insulting. I am being nice.
I know you intend to criticize people, but you're
I'm not criticizing. I'm helping the brain. I'm trying to keep that light bulb at 100.
Keep it 100. But he was smoking Newport 100.
Not even 75.
All right.
But anyway, as I call you to explain to you, I've explained one thing to you, and I gave you three branches of government and the work that they should be doing. They're not doing it. You said they're legislating from the bench, which they're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's why Roe v. Wade was wrong.
So now
Roe v. Wade was legislating from the bench.
Let's get back. So if you were taking money from a foreign bank and you live in this country, what do you call those people?
Corrupt, maybe?
Would you?
Possibly.
So your money, you getting your money not from an American bank, but you're getting it from a bank called Deutsche Bank. So you would call them
Deutsche
what?
Bank? Oh, if you put your money in Deutsche Bank, you have the right to put your money where you
want. If they was giving you a loan, if another bank that was not in this country was giving you a loan, what would you call those people that would be taking it?
I don't know, man.
You don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about. You just changed subjects completely. I have no clue. I can't deal with this. I'm trying to ask you a question. I know you can't because you don't want to answer. I have no idea what you're referring to.
If you wanted to get a loan, an American bank would not give you a loan, so you went overseas to somewhere else and get money from an international bank to make so you can do your crooked stuff with. What would you call those kind of people?
Well, if you're doing crooked stuff, it doesn't matter where you're getting the money.
Even if you're getting the money from if you're getting it from them, period. And it didn't come from here.
If I'm getting foreign money, foreign loans to do upright things, right on, more power to me.
Oh, really? I guess that's what you should get because we know somebody. But why are you worried about those people? And then you're doing business with foreign, you have your tax made.
Who's you?
Doing the cheap labor. Not you.
Who?
But I'm saying people. If somebody was getting some ties made, and bringing them over here and selling them, had people working for cheap labor, what would you call those people?
Foreigners.
Foreigners? Oh, no, I'm talking the person that lives over here, but he's making money, but he has people doing it for cheap labor in another country.
Oh.
What would you call those people?
I don't know. It depends. I would have to know more information.
You don't want to be honest and answer the question.
I might call it disloyal.
You're making on 15 now.
Look, Mace, the reality is the federal government has made it.
I'm not talking about the federal government.
I'm going to put you on hold if you don't shut up, Mace. The federal government has made it not easy to just hire people here in America. They've instituted things like minimum wage and all kinds of unions and all kinds of unnecessary regulations and rules. So people go overseas. It's not just the fault of the commie capitalist corporations that use overseas labor. It's also the fault of the government that makes it so that it's profitable for them to use overseas labor. If they made it so that they could make stuff here, have production be here, then you have to blame both, is my point. You blame not just the commie capitalist corporation that's using foreign labor, but also the government that's encouraging that. So thank you, Maze.
Really?
That's a mess.
So
you got to go.
You blame we know you got to go because you've been
blabbering for 10 minutes.
No. But y'all enjoy y'all History Month that y'all have, which you don't have any history.
Whatever.
The CWPs don't have it. The CWPs don't have any history. You think you got some, because if you really want to look at your history, you got a whole lot work to do. You're trying to push history back to what it used to be, but it ain't happening.
Okay. Well,
But
thank you,
have a good
Mace.
one.
You too.
Yeah.
Looking forward to White History Month with you. We are at the top of the hour, guys. I will get to more of your calls, and I will get to Roe v. Wade and all that stuff. But last day, it's time to celebrate of hidden cameras. What I want to play is that track 5. It's in the main thing. Do I belong? And I disavow, but I don't think it's explicitly vulgar. So enjoy. I'll be right back for the rest of hour 2. Thanks, guys. Hang tight.
Waking up with you beside me, how can I go wrong? Wasting my time ain't too much bother. I'll be like a dog. You wasting your time with your crystal ball. I'll be with my guitar. We'll be the end of all your trouble. I declare the law. Belong, 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 belong. Do I belong, 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 belong? You can take it on up with the big father. I doubt if he'd give it a thought. He'll be at home, standing in the corner, wondering if he belongs. Well, do I belong, 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 belong? Do I belong, 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 belong? Waiting all day by the telephone.
This ain't bad.
Wondering if you're gonna call.
Says Fresh Prince. Nice.
I'll go out to my friend's party, wondering if I belong.
DJ on Paw. James, I wanted to take time out of my busy day to remind you that your music stinks. Blank. I spit. Thank you, DJ on Paw. Nice to hear from you. That's funny, man. I mean, maybe it's not funny to you. He said something worse. Hake went dumpster diving with the Antifa people and found this album. Says Nugget Man. Throwing up. Hake knows every Wiggles song. I never heard of them. I am making CWP t-shirts for everybody and their mama, says Angela. Children sew the Wiggles. Okay, yikes. It's kind of catchy, I thought. Hake, to this day, your music makes me want to spit. This is Den TJ. Hey, cute little squirrel. Is that Earl? Earl the squirrel. Rest in peace. I don't know if he's dead. I don't know what happened. Hey, how you doing? What's up? Doing fine. Super chat from Brandon M. Bright. Of a person, idea, or remark. Intelligent and quick-witted. It's the second definition. Right on. Brandon M. I read your super chat from yesterday, by the way. You may have heard that. Stephen King UK gave a super chat on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report and said, glad to see you back to good health, Hake. Shout out to Artie Art from Ohio, Denny from Bulgaria, and the Snake Pit on YouTube. Yeah, right on, man. Thank you. Lord Bibby42 says, Artie Art, baby, 1, Maze, 0. Nice. Indeed. Well, it isn't Sugar Ray, says Lord Bibby. So cute. The little squirrel thing in the video there. This ain't bad like a head-on collision, says Brandon M. Pretty funny. Okay, so I will get to your calls, but let me just see if I can plow through this Roe v. Wade article. Just a little rehash, a little reminder. And if it sounds like I have a cough drop in my mouth, it's because I do. Halls. Enter the halls of medicine. Buckle down and push forth. Inspire envy. No, you don't want to inspire envy. But that's okay. Here's Roe v. Wade. It made people worse. This was an article. Well, there's a more recent article from May 22nd by John R. Lott Jr., Ph.D., in The Federalist. Roe destroyed many social institutions that are unlikely to return. And he's right about that. But in Town Hall, I saw this article, and I covered it 2 months ago or 3 months ago. I don't know when exactly it was. But it was written and published in December of 2021 at Town Hall. Roe v. Wade harmed even many children who were born after the court's decision. Even many children born. It didn't just harm the children by killing the children after the decision. It harmed many children born. That's John R. Lott Jr., Ph.D. He's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show multiple times in the past. I've seen him interviewed even by the great Real Vincent James. Crime Prevention Research is his organization, crimeresearch.org. He writes for Town Hall, New York Post, The Federalist, apparently. He writes, the 1970s saw major changes, but few realized that research has shown the role that Roe, that's the Supreme Court's legislating from the bench, right, back then. I heard that it was Republicans, too, included. Stupid, huh? Few realize that research has shown the role that Roe had in helping create some of these major changes. Nor do people see the harm to the children born after Roe, as well as many of their mothers. But before we get to those harms, let's discuss the changes. One of those changes was a sharp increase in premarital sex. That was spiked during the 70s, like crazy. And he says Roe was partly behind that, significantly behind that. A sharp rise in out-of-wedlock births. And indeed, that was pushed along by Roe v. Wade. Did you know that? A drop in the number of children placed up for adoption. A drop. Did you know that? With them killing the babies, right? A decline in marriages. A decline in marriages that occur after the woman is pregnant. Those are called so-called shotgun marriages, right? Shotgun weddings. So he talks about attitudes, how attitudes changed toward premarital sex. With abortion seen as a backup, women as well as men became less careful in using so-called contraceptives, as well as more likely to have premarital sex. Premarital sex was not so much the norm that it is today. Unlike how these evil people, very subversive people, not Christians, by the way, in places like Hollywood and academia and the mainstream media, they pretend, oh, people were having out-of-wedlock sex all the time. It was just more hidden. There may have been a lot of hidden stuff going on, but it was not as rampant as it is today. It was shamed, and it was not happening to the level that it is today. Sex out of wedlock. Yeah, hidden stuff has to happen less because it's hidden. And you have less opportunity, right? Now people are all shameless. Let it all hang out, right? There were more unplanned pregnancies after Roe. More unplanned pregnancies. Can you believe that? After Roe v. Wade. Duh. Legal abortion did not mean every unplanned pregnancy led to an abortion. Some women now had premarital sex after the changes in the laws, even though they knew they could never have an abortion. They were having sex, premarital sex, simply because other women were doing so. When other women are doing so, it's more pressure on these more decent women who otherwise might not. If many women were willing to have have premarital sex after abortion, after these legal changes, the women who didn't want to have premarital sex because they knew they were unwilling to have abortions, they felt pressured to have the premarital sex because other women are doing. Guys might drop them and date other women who were willing to have the sex. You know, people are weak. Bring back shame, says John. Yeah, John Frederick. Academic Studies says, this is John R. Lott Jr.'s thing. He says, academic studies have found that legalized abortion by encouraging premarital sex increased the number of unplanned births, even outweighing the reduction in unplanned births due to abortion. So births out of wedlock, unplanned births, increased, even though they legalized killing the babies so that the unplanned thing might die, right? The unplanned baby, not thing, might die. Yeah, peer pressure. In the United States from the early 70s, when abortion was liberalized, through the late 80s, there was a tremendous, well, it's pronounced tremendous, but I like to say tremendous. I learned that from one of my black teachers. That was a tremendous tackle. Anyway. In the United States from the early 70s, when abortion was liberalized, through the 80s, late 80s, pardon the, you're probably hearing my, my cough drop in my teeth. What a mess. Nick tempted to mute me while I'm doing that. Is it all loud? Clackling around. And because I have like I have sutures in my mouth, I have a temporary crown on me, so I'm trying to keep it on the right side, not on the left. I mean, the left side, not on the right. What a mess. Anyway, there was a tremendous increase in the rate of out-of-wedlock births from the early 70s when Roe v. Wade was put in, legislated from the bench, through the late 80s. Tremendous increase in the rate of out-of-wedlock births, rising from an average of 5% of all births from 1965 to 1969 to more than 16% 2 decades later, 1985 to 89. For blacks, the numbers soared from 35% to 62% out-of-wedlock birth rate. While not all of this rise can be attributed to liberalized abortion rules, it was indeed a key contributing factor nonetheless. What is expected of men in this position, you know, when a woman don't choke, Hake, thank you. When a woman gets pregnant, right, what was expected of the man was to marry the woman, right? But that has changed dramatically in the last 4 decades. Evidence shows the greater availability of abortion largely ended shotgun marriages, when men felt obligated to marry the woman. Even as abortion has led to more out-of-wedlock births, it has dramatically reduced adoptions of children born in America by two-parent families. Before Roe, when abortion was much more difficult, women who would have chosen an abortion but were unable to get an abortion turned to adoption as their backup. After Roe, women who turned down an abortion were also the type to want to keep the baby. I'm keeping my baby, as Madonna said, right? Didn't she say that? Wasn't that nice? But was it nice? I don't know. All these changes, rising out-of-wedlock birth rates, plummeting adoption rates and the end of shotgun marriages meant one thing: more single-parent families, single mothers, really. So crime went through the roof. Oh, but that means less mulatto babies. So that's good. No, that's not good. And in fact, the mulatto babies increased, or the out-of-wedlock ones, the ones of poor quality, right? You're not raising good quality kids when it's a single mother most of the time, right? Doing things right. Yeah, Papa don't preach, yeah. From the beginning of the abortion debate, those favoring abortion have pointed out the social costs of quote-unquote unwanted children who simply won't get the attention of the wanted ones. Abortion may eliminate unwanted children, but it also increases out-of-wedlock births and single parenthood, which are issues, right? Unfortunately, John R. Lott's published research, he says, my published research that social consequences of illegitimacy dominated the social consequences of illegitimate children born out of wedlock, right? That's what the word bastard meant. Born before your parents were married, or out of wedlock. Children born after liberalized abortion rules have suffered a series of problems, from difficulties at school to more crime. The saddest fact is that the most vulnerable in society, poor blacks, who have suffered the most from these changes. No matter who wins the election or controls the Supreme Court, abortions are unlikely to be outlawed, just as they were not outlawed before the court decided Roe v. Wade in 1973. But liberalized abortion undoubtedly made life easier for many, but like sex itself sometimes, it has many unintended consequences. Or were they intended consequences, I wonder? That's evil for you, huh? Hope you were able to follow that. Do you think so-called same-sex marriage will be revoked following the fall of Roe v. Wade? That would be nice. That would be nice. Hope you were able to follow that. It's interesting information, though, huh? Because these people call in to my show. You know that guy Rich from SF? The guy who's okay with his child turning transgender or whatever? And he's fine with women killing their babies. He's so you would want the government to pay for the raising of a 13-year-old girl's out-of-wedlock child. No, that girl and whoever she's living with are responsible. And before Roe v. Wade, that girl wouldn't have been so casually having that sex out of wedlock. It's reality. People are like, oh, they're going to have sex anyways. Not when you're forced to be responsible. Not when you're enabled to be irresponsible, because that's what abortion is. Enabling the evil woman to be irresponsible. And in some cases, males who support that. There are males who support killing the babies. They don't feel good about it, though. Nor do the females. Anyway, I'll talk a little bit more about some other things. Unsolved black-on-black crime. It's on the rise. But what are the blacks concerned about? Emmett Till. Ridiculous. Let me get to Tara, a first-time caller from Virginia. How are you doing, Tara or Tara in Virginia?
I get both, James. Tomato, whatever you like.
How do you pronounce it?
Technically it is Tara, but I got a little tease when I was in elementary school, so I kind of changed it to Tara. The only people who call me Tara is like my mom.
Oh, okay. But you're fine with me calling you either one?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I prefer Tara, but tomato.
All right.
Now that I'm old, it doesn't even make a difference.
Nice. Stay on regular phone for me. What's your question or comment?
Well, so I have been listening to Jesse for probably about a year.
Right.
And that's how I was introduced to you. So I would listen to your Hake report, and I said, and then when you had your spinoff and you had your own show, because I'm open. I don't have to only listen to people who have my mindset.
Right.
Because closed minds don't change. So I prefer to listen to people who don't have my mindset. Because then I can kind of open up and probably, think about some things.
Have you changed at all? Has your mind changed at all since listening to Jesse and Hake?
No.
All right. No. So,
I think Jesse is a race hustler and a fake reverend. And for you, now I have listened to your show, and I've seen you do, I think it was a podcast or an interview. You guys were talking about race. I can't remember who the guy was, but he was a young white guy. And my feedback is, it sounds like, and I know that you're young, like I'm older than you. So as you get into this more, you'll come into who you are. But it sounds like Jesse has trained you so well. Like all of your talking points are the same as his. It's the race hustling, it's the blacks, and I don't know if that's
what's
who
race
you are
hustling
just in general.
What do you mean by race hustling? What's that mean?
You know what that is.
No, explain it.
You're a smart man. I listen to you. You're very smart.
Oh, thank you. But what is race hustling? What do you mean by that?
Race hustling is when a person will use race for a specific agenda, and they target like a specific race. The only difference is, so like Jesse would talk about Jesse Jackson, and then we know who David Duke is, race hustlers, right? The only difference is it's the reverse with Jesse. He is black, but he's hustling to a white audience. Usually black people who race hustle, they race hustle to a black audience. White folks, they hustle to a white audience.
You're calling David Duke, you're calling David Duke and Jesse Jackson and Jesse Lee Peterson, you're calling all three of them race hustlers?
Oh, most definitely. They only use race as an agenda for their own personal agenda. Like everything is black or white.
It's too vague. It's too vague. Your definition is too vague. Like, give me an example of race hustling. Because using race for a particular agenda, that's like, it's vague. It's a vague statement. So go ahead and use it. Use a example for me.
So an example would be, let's see. If I was to be, I'm a woman of color. I'm black. So if I was a race hustler, I would gather up all the black people, and I would be like, you know what? White people are evil. They are horrible. We need to stick together. Black power. That's race hustling. I am talking to a group of people, and I am using race for my own personal agenda. And I am letting all these black people.
Can you use a real example rather than a theoretical example?
That's what I just did.
Oh, you're doing that?
Well, you asked me to give you an example of race hustling.
A real example, not person. Are you hustling blacks?
Well, I'm not a race hustler.
Okay, then give me a real example of a real so-called race hustler hustling blacks or whites.
I gave you quite a few. I gave you David Duke.
I know, but those are you mentioned names, but you mentioned names, but didn't explain you didn't give an example of them doing it. You mentioned their names.
Well, I did. I did. So it's when a person speaks to an entire... Mm-hmm.
You gave me a vague definition. Give me an example where I or Jesse said this to the whites or to the blacks to get the whites or the blacks for my personal...
We'll try it again.
Yeah, try it again because you're failing.
So when Jesse... Not really. You just kind of... Like I said, you've been trained by Jesse very well. But I've given you two examples, but I'll give you one more.
You have not given me one example.
So, no problem. So here's another one. So when Jesse says that black people are here to destroy and not build, and white people are awesome, that is a form of race hustling.
But he doesn't say white people are awesome. What the heck? But okay.
He's always said white straight Christian men is the greatest thing on this side of heaven. And black people
he doesn't say that either.
And not build.
That's a scarecrow. It's a straw man. But he does say that blacks. He does say that blacks are here. Right, white people founded the greatest country. Right, yeah. Okay, so
that's race hustling. It took both black and white people to build this great country that we call.
How is that race hustling?
It's not just white people.
How is it race hustling to point out that blacks are being used for destruction? They're being used to support
Because
the
it's
gay
not-
agenda,
well-
which you support, right? They're being used to support the abortion agenda. They're being used to support the illegals and the immigrants
Right.
coming in. They're being used for
Right.
everything evil. And they're being used to
So
smear the
that-
whites and
So that's
the
the race
cops.
hustling, because it's not just black people who support gay stuff. And it's not all black
He
people
never
who
said
support
it's
that
just. He never said it's just blacks, nor did he say it's all blacks.
either. Right. He says most. You're right. You're 100%
And most
correct. He
blacks
says not
vote
all,
for-
not all, but most.
And most blacks vote for like Obama. Those who do vote, and then the ones who don't vote, they most blacks, I would say, probably support Obama and all that type of destruction of the country. So he's saying
Not
something
a
that's
problem.
factual.
Not a problem. So for me and many other people, we know what it is. It's race hustling. When you try to make one group look bad and another group looks good, it creates a divisiveness. You know, I don't think that it's good to create divisiveness. We're already divided. So instead of looking at blacks this, whites this, let's just look at the problems in America. You know, black people are, we got our own issues. White people got issues.
And why not point out those
Let's just-
issues? That's all he's doing is pointing out those issues.
We can do that. I'm a fan of tough love. I'm a fan of, like, when I see, honestly, one thing that I hate, James, as a woman of color, when I see on the computer where black folks are fighting in restaurants, I hate that. Like, I want to pull them to the side and be like, get it together. You cannot be doing this. However,
listen, you
there's
remind me
also
of
white people that do the same thing, and Jesse never points that out. He only focuses on the negative. But white people are out of control too. You got Karens, you got white women. who going
Hey!
crazy, but
Watch
he
that
doesn't talk
language.
about that.
We don't allow racial slurs of our white ladies. We need more
and-
so-called Karens to watch out for the community. Well, actually, we need men watching out for the community. But anyway, you're
Okay.
misapplying.
And then the women.
Let me respond to what you've said so far. You're misapplying the term so-called race hustler. Like, you're using it against people who are telling the truth. And Jesse calls out the whites
it's not
all the time.
Truth, though.
And
but it's not
and-
the truth, James.
and
If your
and-
premise is false, anything after that is going to be false.
There's
It's
a
not the
reason
truth.
that-
all black people are not here to destroy.
there's a reason that
Most
World
black
Star.
people.
There's a reason that World Star is primarily a black mess video website because black mess is more prominent than white mess.
And there's also websites that show Karens and white guys going crazy also, but you guys never talk about that
We
stuff on your
talk
show.
about those things plenty. We talk about all kinds
I
of
don't-
cases where remember that Central Park so-called Karen, and I don't appreciate you using that. That's our word. That's our word. Would you want me using the N-word?
I don't care about the words personally. You know, I'm old, so like words don't bother me.
How old are you, out of
So-
curiosity, if you don't mind my asking? Not that you have to say, but
I'm 46.
you're only 46. You're
But I've
acting
been on
like
my own
you're
since I've been-
acting like you could be my mother or my aunt. You're only
I could
46.
be.
I'm 40.
I could be, James.
You
I've
couldn't
been on
have
my
me
own
at
since
6?
I've been 15. But I've been on my own since I've been 15.
Nice.
So I feel like I've been forced to mature and work and, just whatever. You already know how that stuff works.
Yeah.
I
Sometimes
just
people.
feel a little older.
Okay. Anyway. Anyway.
But anyway, so I've listened to you.
I even talked about the Bagel Queen. Some of you guys call her Bagel Karen.
I know,
but
but
Bagel
you
Queen.
use the same-
I called her out
but
as
you-
I didn't really have a problem with her saying the N-word itself, but it may have been a little ill-advised. I'm not sure. But she was kind of an attention-seeking person, and that's not a good thing. And she shouldn't be,
I know, James, but there's so much stuff going on in the world. Why create device like you? America
the problem
is
is
like $1 trillion in debt.
I know, but the
that has
problem
nothing to
is
do
you
with
point
black
out I'm okay with being divided against people who are evil.
Black and white.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are
'cause
plenty
some of your
of-
verbiage. It sounds exactly like Jesse.
There are
And
plenty
I
of
know once you in this,
very
once you do this
disloyal
about 10
whites.
years,
Huh? What?
once you do this for about 10 more years, you're going to find your own groove, and you're going to sound like James. Because right now, you sound just like Jesse.
I understand.
and the thing
I've been
is-
hanging around him a lot, and I do understand that can be a little off-putting for people who are judgmental and can't just deal
It's
with it.
not judgmental. We're just listening to you. It's not judgmental.
No,
You'll
I
call
know,
people
but
beta,
it's
alpha. That's his
but it's
verbiage.
bothering
It's
you.
not judgmental.
Oh, you reminded me. Okay, so this is. I appreciate the criticism. I don't reject the criticism that I sound too much or mimic Jesse too much, maybe. But I hang around him, so it's kind of unavoidable. Anyway.
Well, I listen to him every day. 'Cause
Right.
I find him funny and
Nice.
entertaining, but I don't use those terms. I don't say racism doesn't exist. I would not dare be walking around calling people alpha, beta. Now, unfortunately, because I do listen to him every day, one of my kids, my daughter did like 126 push-ups the other day. And my 9-year-old, she was
Cute.
like, amazing. I'm like, okay, I'm listening to Jesse too much. So now my little person is picking up on that verbiage. But I don't pick up on, and I listen to him every day. I think he's hilarious. I just
Right.
don't take him serious. And I
now listen.
want you to come. Mhm.
I think that you take this when blacks do act out in the restaurants and stuff. You remind me of Joe
Yeah.
from Phoenix, Arizona, whom you may have heard on my show and JLP's show. He doesn't like ghetto culture. Like he's really angry at the so-called
I
N-words.
can't stand it, John. It
And
drives
so
me crazy.
what I encourage you to do is not be so judgmental of those blacks and don't identify with them as though they represent you or represent black people in general. I mean, they kind of do. They represent a significant portion of blacks, but don't be taking it personally and feeling anything about it, or realize that it's a little silly for you to take special, being especially appalled because they're black and acting out.
You know what, James? That's a great point, and this is why I don't mind listening. It's everything that they say. And
Yeah,
I
you-
agree with you on that. I should not take it personal. However, I do as a woman of color because I know
But don't
there's
be
a lot of race hustling
don't be
going
thinking
on.
as a woman of color. Be thinking as a woman who loves what's right. If you are indeed one who loves
And
what's
it's
right.
not right for black people to be out there wilding out on world stars. So as an older woman, when I see stuff, I pull them to the side. I'll be like, hey, stop it. You know this is what they think of you already. I already think black people are
I know, but you're
uneducated.
poisoning it by being concerned with appearances. That's mama spirit like a mug, as Daniel says.
No,
That's mama spirit, man.
That Jesse talk. That Jesse talk, but it's okay.
But aren't you? Isn't that a good point though? You're playing mama with people who you're
No,
identifying with it. You're saying as a woman of color.
Not at all.
Yeah, you are. You're
So
you
it's
just
true.
accepted my point and then rejected it in the same breath.
Because I agree with you that I shouldn't take it personal, but
Yeah.
I don't agree that it should not bother me and I shouldn't speak up and say something.
Oh, you can
So
speak
you
up. There's a
and
time to
Jesse
speak
can
up.
Speak up.
I
and
didn't say don't
hey.
speak up. I'm just talking about you're identifying with it. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm an older woman. Are you a Christian?
you're not
James?
that much older. You shouldn't be saying you're an older woman.
'Cause I
Do you?
told you I was on my own since 15, so are you a
I wouldn't
Christian?
keep on repeating that. Yeah, I am a Christian.
Okay, so in the Bible it says the old has to school the young.
Oh gosh,
Right?
but you think you're so old. You think you're so old and wise.
Okay, let's leave my age out of it.
Yeah.
In Scripture, it says the elders need to school the young, right? So those fabulous senior citizens who are 70 and 80 and who've lived through things, and they see young people doing things they shouldn't do, the girls out there juicing, that's my word for sex, juicing.
Oof.
They see them juicing, and they're not married. The older people will say, hey, keep your legs closed. That's our responsibility as, forget me in my age, but just as an older generation, that is our responsibility to school the young people because they don't know. They don't know. So it's okay for me to pull somebody to the side and say, you know what, young girl, like your work day, keep your legs closed. These men, they all read out of one book. It's okay for me to see another woman, black or white, and be like, hey, stop wilding out. Stop yelling and cursing.
Wasn't that
You know?
wasn't that an insightful article by John R. Lott Jr. that Roe v. Wade increased out-of-wedlock birth and sex out of wedlock?
I didn't read that article.
Oh no, but I just read excerpts of it. I don't know if you caught that.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I did hear it when I was on hold. I
Isn't
did
that-
hear it.
isn't
It
that
was
remarkable?
very interesting.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's interesting. It's interesting.
For sure. Well, I
It's
appreciate it, Tara. Tara, I'll pronounce it the way that you prefer, I think. And call me again sometime. Let's talk again.
James, I appreciate you taking my call. And then one thing I want to say before I leave, I'm going to be really quick because I know you got other calls. And even though I don't like the yucky stuff that's in the air about Jesse, I'm not going to go into detail because that's irrelevant to me. But the fact that Jesse is always talking about black people are so horrible, it seems like it's only white men that's trying to bring him down.
Oh, Tara, don't worry about that. Yeah.
Because I don't want Jesse's show to be removed. I love listening to him.
Nice.
But it's only white men that's trying to put this yucky stuff, you know?
Okay. Well, thank you, Tara. Appreciate the well wishes. Take care.
James, have a great day.
All right. What a nice lady. Nick says Tara's nasty to the core. Super chats before I get back to calls, guys. John WX25 says, I've been listening to you for a long time. Like your moral character, but question your choice of favorite caller. About Maze. With solids like Art and William, is it because she's a perfect example of evil masquerading as good? Asks John WX25. She's been a long-time caller. I said it somewhat facetiously, and she is sweet sometimes. She has a sweet side, Maze. Anyway, Lord Baby 42 says, caller Tara, Jesse calls out the whites literally every single day. Tara is just a victim. Boo-hoo, poor Tara. And we taken back the name Karen, so eat it. Lord Baby 42 also says, Tara, I'm going to need you to define push-up for me. Chest to the ground, arms extended, no bend all the way up. Military style, no pansy half up and half down. Or knees touching the ground. This is still a man's world. Tell him, Hake. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. And shout out to the Odyssey people as well. Very nice. Oh, man. Okay, so let me present to you a little quick story. I saw this from Cernovich, who's like, you can't really say why, can you? Because he quote tweeted this tweet from Chris H. News, this guy who's a CBS News investigative data journalist, Chris Hacker. No relation, right? Said there's a huge gap between solve rates for white victims versus black victims, and it's getting worse. And he's referring to murders, solved murders. He says, he shares this Chris Hacker, CBS News investigative data journalist, writes, some details from my first investigation with CBS News. Cops in the U.S. only solve about half of murders in the United States. It's the lowest rate ever recorded. And, you know, I remember first learning about so-called murder clearance rates. That's where a murder results in either an arrest or they just, like say, oh, we know who did it, but he's dead already. Type of thing. That type of thing, right? Murder clearance rates. And he shares an article called Crime Without Punishment from CBS News. Says there's a huge rap in solve rates for white victims versus black victims, meaning white murders get solved more than black murders. Because black murders are more out of control, and there's a no-snitch culture and other things. It's probably getting worse, too. Probably even worse, too, he says. In Chicago, we found the police close nearly half of their cases without anyone being arrested and charged. Some more info on Chicago now that Megan Hickey and Chai producer, whoever that is, I don't know, some guy. Mother first, journalist second, blah, blah, blah. Another woman, I guess. Their story has been punished. A ton of exceptionally cleared Chicago Police Department cases were marked bar to prosecute, meaning the prosecutors refused to pursue a case. It appears it's getting more frequent. Megan Hickey, who's like his fellow journalist woman, I guess, has a heart-wrenching interview with two women whose loved ones' cases were closed with no arrests made. It's worth watching. It'll be posted And he shares an article headline. They had him. They had the weapon. 5 years after her brother's murder, one Chicago woman surprisingly learns justice will never come. And, you know, meanwhile, you have evil Colin Kaepernick, who kneeled for the national anthem and pretended that cops are getting away with murder and still getting paid. No, blacks are getting away with murder of other blacks. And the blacks who get murdered don't get any justice. And it's not always just gang members, although they try to make it okay. Oh, it's just gang members. It's okay. They're not humans. It's ridiculous. In Chicago, the murder clearance rate was like 17% in some years, 25%. Nationwide, the murder clearance rate at one point, I learned from reading the bio of Sheriff David Clark of Milwaukee, I believe. Nationwide, the murder clearance rate at one point recently was 60%, meaning 3 out of 5 murders get solved somehow. 3 out of 5. 60%. But with him, it was 4 out of 5. He had the murder clearance rate at 80%. But it's just 17% over in Chicago and other areas with lots of black on black crime. Well, white on white crime is more frequently done by whites or whatever, right? It pales, white on white crime pales in comparison with black on black crime. And they get away with it, the murderers. No snitch culture. Oh, but they'll snitch on the cops. They'll say stuff about the cops that's not even true. Try to get them in trouble. And Emmett Till. You know, you heard on the Jesse Lee Peterson show that Emmett Till's mother or something like that, or the family or whatever. Maybe I don't know if Emmett Till's mother's alive. Maybe she died in 2003, I guess. His so-called family, Emmett Till, the boy who was 14 years old, a young teenager, allegedly, they say, whistled at a white woman. Well, he was accused of more than just whistling. He was accused of grabbing her, and it may have been a false accusation. I don't know. He was accused of saying that he would have sex with white women and be vulgar. Like he said some cuss word or something. Vulgarity. Allegedly, right? That's what they were claiming. And they tortured, like, a couple of men who were related to this woman. The husband, maybe, whose waist he allegedly grabbed. Maybe he didn't. But they downplay what the black allegedly did, and they upplay and exaggerate what the whites allegedly did. They exaggerate it so much that you have Maze, my favorite caller from Dayton, Ohio, claiming the woman who said it admitted she lied. And there is no proof that she admitted that she lied or that she recanted. There is no proof that she recanted because look at this headline. Bombshell quote missing from Emmett Till tape. So did Carolyn Bryant Donham really recant? Reporting from Jackson, Mississippi, Timothy Tyson's book on Emmett Till became a bestseller thanks to a bombshell quote he attributed to Carolyn Bryant Donham, that she lied when she testified about Till accosting her. This Carolyn Bryant Donham, the woman, her daughter-in-law, Marcia Bryant, who was present for the 2 tape-recorded interviews between this Timothy Tyson journalist, probably not a Christian, I don't know, maybe he is, with Donham, said her mother-in-law never recanted. Adding to the intrigue, the quote Tyson attributed to Donham is not in the recordings. He tape-recorded it, but he didn't tape-record that part somehow. Oh, isn't that convenient? People believe her 84-year-old mother-in-law, and this was a report from 2018, so she's, 87 now, or 88, or something like that? And they're trying to charge her with crimes. The so-called family wants this woman who made allegedly a false accusation. Look at how pretty this lady was. 1955 photograph. Pretty on the outside, don't know what she was like on the inside. You know women. Can't always believe women. In fact, you should probably never believe a woman. Isn't it in the Bible that you're not supposed to take the testimony of a woman? 2 or more witnesses. Not true. But anyway, they want her prosecuted, charged with murder. And I first heard about Emmett Till on Sean Hannity's show during when I was at JLP, and maybe Jesse Lee Peterson's show, with a clip of Oprah Winfrey. You know, evil Oprah, comparing Emmett Till to Trayvon Martin. Oh, Trayvon Martin is Emmett Till all over again. Trayvon Martin, the guy who allegedly attacked George Zimmerman, and George Zimmerman had to kill him in self-defense. Compared to this guy who was allegedly kidnapped by this woman's husband and brother-in-law or something like that, or brother, and tortured, mutilated, murdered, and buried in a creek, or sunk in a creek. Somebody did something evil to him. Some people did something. And I don't think that they were convicted. They were tried but not convicted, or something like that. A mostly white jury. Well, it turns out, by the way, that a mostly black jury declined to indict this woman for this thing. People believe her 84-year-old mother, this is the daughter-in-law who's speaking. The mother-in-law is not talking to the media, or was not back in 2018. People believe she played a role in Emmett Till's murder when she had nothing to do with it, this daughter-in-law said. They think she should die or go to jail forever. They think what happened to Emmett Till should happen to her. Donham's then-husband, Roy Bryant, and his half-brother, J.W. Milam, grabbed Till from his great-uncle's home in August 28, 1955, near Money, Mississippi, carried him away and killed him, allegedly. Both men are now dead. In his book, The Blood of Emmett Till, this Timothy Tyson, so-called journalist, wrote about Donham's memoir recounting the story she told at the trial using imagery from the classic Southern racist horror movie of the Black Beast, Rapist. But about her testimony that Till had grabbed her around the waist and uttered obscenities, she now told me that part's not true. And I don't know if I believe this guy. Journalist? It is true that that part is not on tape because I was setting up the tape recorder, this Timothy Tyson sleaze guy. I call him a sleaze. Am I unfair for calling him a sleaze? Said, when Donham began to mutter something about they're all dead now anyway, he snatched up his notebook and began taking notes, which the FBI has since subpoenaed. Yeah, the FBI, busybodies. They're not interested in actual present-day stuff. They're interested in ancient history. When Donham began to mutter about blah, 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 he shared a photo of the notes with the Jackson, Mississippi Clarion Ledger. They read, that part, PT, that part wasn't true. 50 years ago, I just don't remember. Nothing that boy did could ever justify what happened to him. You know, a horrifying story about how he got mutilated and murdered, right? Marcia Bryant said she feels Tyson acted unethically in dealing with the book she was writing with her mother-in-law, More Than a Wolf Whistle, the story of Carolyn Bryant Donham. He had access to the book because he was my editor. We allowed him to interview Carolyn, and he helped me edit. But this guy claims that that's BS, bogus speech. But he didn't say bogus speech. He said bullshit. That she, and so these two ladies, are these ladies lying, or is he lying, or both lying? Tall tales, a whole lot of politics involved, a whole lot of political motivation involved in what this actual story is, right? So who cares? It's kind of like what Jesse does. It's like, this happened so long ago, I don't remember it. Yeah, because it was 1955 when this allegedly happened. She and her husband operated a general store in 1955, halfway between Jackson, Mississippi, and Memphis. Her story has differed over the years. But in a 2007 majority black grand jury in Greenwood, Mississippi, they declined to indict Donham, considering charges from manslaughter to accessory after the fact. Despite the FBI's re-examination, those familiar with the case doubt any prosecution will come. But, you know, those blacks, those lynch mob blacks and the whites who kiss up to them, and fellow whites who kiss up to them, not normal whites, they don't stop. Reminds me of what they did to that 101-year-old Nazi guard, what they're doing to the January 6th people, what they're doing to the Unite the Right rally people. In 1955, she shared with a defense lawyer for her husband and Milam, the half-brother, whatever, that as soon as Roy Bryant and her then-husband returned home from a work trip, she told him what happened in the store with Till. But then, since then, she's repeatedly said someone else told Roy Bryant first. I didn't say anything. One of the reasons I didn't say anything more about it was because I was afraid that what I was worried about was he's going to find out and beat him up. She told an FBI agent. What's the FBI doing getting involved? They like to meddle. Busybodies, right? Dale Killinger. Investigations from the so-called civil rights leader Dr. T.R.M. Howard and author Devery Anderson each concluded that Roy Bryant learned what happened at the store from someone other than his wife. Isn't that interesting? So that guy who super chatted to JLP may have been correct. In 1955, she went on to witness stand and testify, and the judge concluded her testimony was inadmissible. With the jury out, she had told the courtroom and reporters that Till grabbed her on the hips, told her that he had sex with white women before, and used an obscenity. And isn't it interesting? His own dad, Louis Till, American soldier, 1922 to 1945, dead at age 23, was killed by the Army while in the Army for rape and murder. Rape and murder of, I think, rape of 2 white women, murder of 1. Something like that. Louis Till. So is it like father, like son? Don't know. Mammy Till, American educator and activist. She's the one who decided to have Emmett Till's open casket thing, to push the propaganda, to turn her son Emmett Till into a civil rights icon. She became an educator and activist in this so-called civil rights movement. Was she a better woman than Trayvon Martin's mother? Man. Mammy Till. Yeah, he was a rapist. According to this, anyway. Louis Till, American soldier, Emmett Till's dad. While serving in the Italian campaign, Till was arrested by military police who suspected him and another soldier, Fred A. McMurray, of the murder of an Italian woman and the rape of 2 others in Civitavecchia. Sorry, Italians, I don't know how to pronounce your thing. A 3rd soldier was granted immunity in exchange for testimony against McMurray and Till. Court-martialed, found guilty, sentenced to death by hanging. Carried out in a disciplinary training center north of Pisa. The Leaning Tower of Pisa. Both soldiers had pleaded innocent. Their defense team had no evidence in support of their innocence. Till stayed silent during the trial. And he was hanged. So, don't know. Honestly, don't know, don't care. It's really not anybody's business anymore. Thought he was a rapper. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you bearing with me through that. I wanted to get that out there. Joe in Arizona wanted to talk about my comments to Tara about him. Joe, you can defend yourself tomorrow or another day. I accuse him of taking it too personally how other blacks are when the blacks act out. And William in California wanted to talk about Kim Fox, I think. out of Is that out of Chi-Town? And the rest of the callers, I cannot get to you. This has been the Hake Report. And I will be seeing you tomorrow, is the plan. I'm getting my sutures out today. Wish me luck. Should be easy. Should be quick and easy. And I'm going to see some buddies around after the funeral of my buddy who died. My cop friend who got killed. Murdered. One of two murdered in El Monte, California. So, but anyway, I should see you tomorrow for Friday's show. Thanks, and take care. Adios.